Hi everyone. In this video, I want to look at the question, is Polish closer to Czech or Slovak? You probably know that Polish, Czech, and Slovak are all West Slavic languages, but one of them is noticeably closer to Polish than the other. In this video, we'll compare Polish to Czech and Slovak using vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation as criteria to find out which is Polish's closest cousin. The results might surprise you. My own personal experience as a speaker of Polish, Russian, and Serbo-Croatian, Polish being my strongest since I went to graduate school in Poland from 1979 to 1981, I was able to understand both Slovak and Czech the first time I heard them, as well as communicate with the speakers of these two languages, even though they spoke to me only in their language. Slovak felt a bit easier to understand. First, let's look at lexical similarity, vocabulary, a measurement of the degree to which the vocabularies of the two languages overlap. For Polish and Slovak, studies have shown various degrees of lexical similarity. One study reported a lexical distance of approximately 23.9% from Slovak to Polish, indicating a similarity of about 76.1%. Another study found that Slovak speakers could understand Polish with 63.3% accuracy in a written picture test, suggesting a moderate level of mutual intelligibility. In comparison, the lexical similarity between Polish and Czech is slightly lower. The same study reported a lexical distance of approximately 25.4% from Czech to Polish, indicating a similarity of about 74.6%. However, it's important to note that lexical similarity doesn't always equate to mutual intelligibility, as factors like pronunciation, grammar, and usage also play significant roles. Therefore, while Polish and Slovak share a high degree of lexical similarity, the actual ease of understanding between speakers of these languages may vary. Here are some examples in which Slovak is closer to Polish. We have, for example, beautiful.
Piękny. To jest piękna kobieta.
Pekný. To je pekná žena.
Krásný. To je krásná žena.
In this word, Polish and Slovak both use a similar root, the PKN, while Czech uses a different root. And now we have the verb to say.
Powiedzieć. Chcę coś powiedzieć.
Povedať. Chcem niečo povedať.
Říct. Chci něco říct.
Now let's compare the grammar of these three languages. Let's start by taking a look at some verb conjugations. We see that in the first person singular present tense, Polish and Slovak show a clear structural alignment. Slovak typically ends in M. Polish ends in a nasal vowel, or M. Czech, by contrast, often drops the final M and reduces or shortens the verb. This pattern makes Polish and Slovak conjugation more transparent and regular compared to Czech, which tends to favor phonological reduction and root alternation. As for the overall grammatical structure, all three languages are very similar. There are basically 7 grammatical cases in all three languages, as seen in this table. I say basically because the use of the vocative case differs amongst them. The nominative case is used when the noun is the subject. The genitive generally shows possession, but has other functions as well. The dative case is for indirect objects, and the accusative case is for direct objects. The instrumental case is for showing means, such as travel by train. Train would be in the instrumental case. Or it's used to show accompaniment. For example, I go with my friend. Friend would also be in the instrumental case. The locative case shows location and is used after certain prepositions in, about, etc. The vocative case is a grammatical form used to address someone or something directly. In English, this is typically indicated by separating the name or title with commas, as in, Sarah, could you help me? While all three languages historically include the vocative case, Polish maintains its use most robustly in everyday language. Czech retains the vocative case, particularly in formal settings, though its usage is diminishing in casual speech. Slovak, on the other hand, has largely phased out the vocative case, with the nominative case commonly serving its function, except in certain fixed expressions. Furthermore, there are notable differences how Polish, Slovak, and Czech use grammatical cases, particularly the instrumental case, when expressing professions, roles, or statuses. While all three languages use the instrumental case, Polish applies it more rigidly when expressing professions or roles. Slovak and Czech offer flexibility between the instrumental and the nominative cases, allowing speakers to convey subtle nuances in meaning or formality. There are also more notable differences in how grammatical cases are used in Polish and Slovak and Czech, beyond just the instrumental case for professions. For example, Polish always uses the genitive case after negated verbs. For example, I know the city uses accusative.
Znam miasto.
I don't know the city uses the genitive.
Nie znam miasta.
Czech and Slovak typically retain the accusative after negation. The genitive is historically possible, but the accusative is the norm in modern usage. So, as you see here, Czech and Slovak act the same way in this case, but Polish is different. I believe that is what you will find in many cases. In other words, grammatical case use in Slovak and Czech tend to be similar, and it's not a major factor determining which of these two languages is closer to Polish. Now, let's take a look at the third criterion for comparison: pronunciation. Are there factors that make one of these two languages closer to Polish than the other? First of all, Polish has nasal vowels and the other two don't. That's a very particular aspect of Polish. Both Polish and Slovak have soft consonants. Czech has some special sounds that don't exist in Polish or even Slovak. The Polish stress pattern is unique, but Slovak is closer in rhythm. So while neither Czech nor Slovak, due to nasal vowels and penultimate stress, Slovak pronunciation is overall closer to Polish than Czech is. In conclusion, although I'm not a native speaker of Polish, I found that Slovak feels slightly closer to Polish than Czech does in grammar, pronunciation, and especially lexical similarity. The two languages often share transparent verb forms and vocabulary, and Slovak's overall sound pattern seems a bit more familiar to a Polish speaker. I would imagine that most Polish speakers would also find Slovak easier to understand and learn than Czech. Well, if you're a Polish speaker or a Czech or Slovak speaker, I would like to know your opinion about the mutual intelligibility. So please let me know in the comments. If you'd like to know more about my language learning and travel experience over the past 5 decades, please take a look at my website, polyglotdreams.com. And there you will find my memoir, A Life in 30 Languages, not just in English, but in many other languages too. And also combined as dual readers. For example, English, Russian, or English, Chinese, Spanish, Portuguese. In these dual readers, you have the paragraph in one language followed by another language, which allows you to enjoy the reading the story without always referring to a dictionary and get better exposure much faster and more efficiently. I combine these with the audio edition in language learning sets, which I highly recommend for those at upper beginner, immediate, all the way to advanced levels, in order to improve your listening comprehension in the target language. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video.